Now, let me come to this transaction advisors report. So look, I have never seen anything so damning. And I'm going to spend some time on this transaction because you see, all the things we were saying earlier, they made it look as though, because you have a bias, because you are not cloaked with professional mandate to carry out an assessment, so we cannot really trust you and take your word to the bank. So let's listen to what the transaction advisors report is. And remember that we paid good money for this transaction advisor. $491,000. More than 7 million Ghana cedis. Very, very good money.
And did you get this information that it was a consortium of about 4 or 5 companies and not just some capital? Did you ever get that?
What I have here is the transaction advisor.
Okay.
Dr. Sam Mensah, writing to the board of trustees of SSNIT. And it is a transaction advisor's comment on Rock City's proposal to SSNIT for the purchase of 60% shares in the 4 hotels, Lot 1 and Lot 2. It is a 6-page report. My brother, every page is explosive. Very damning report. So the transaction advisor, this intercepted report, reveals that apparently Rock City has been allowed to put forward an installment plan, something which was not made available to others. And according to the payment terms, they will pay $30.8 million out of the $61.2 million. And then they will spread the remaining half, the remaining 30, over a 24-month period. The transaction advisor also discovers that there is no interest rate on that 2-year installment plan. Then the transaction advisor writes, the proposal offers an installment plan with no confirmation of availability of funds. Payment is based on the cash flows of Rock City Hotel, with no credit enhancement from any bank. There is no indication of ability to pay. The arrangements for the transfer of the shares do not satisfy the objectives of SSNIT. Transfer of the management and ownership will take 2 years. The 2-year installment plan was not made available to all bidders. Can you believe that? When we talk about insider dealing, when we talked about how the process was rigged to favor a predetermined outcome, this is the transaction advisor speaking, not me. Dr. Sam Mensah, who signed this report, he continues. The latest proposal does not meet the objectives of SSNIT, which were clearly stated in the terms of reference for this transaction. The objective is to select a strategic partner with the necessary gravitas, expertise, and financial muscle to turn around the fortunes of the hotels. SSNIT's preference is to limit its equity holdings in these investments to between 26% and 49%. The strategic partner is to take up the rest of the equity by injecting the equivalent capital into the hotels. The Rock City proposal, as it stands now, will not satisfy SSNIT's objective. The proposal does not indicate the source of funding for the balance of the acquisition price. Rock City Hotel's latest proposal does not include a bank guarantee. I'm reading from page 3 of the Transaction Advisors Report. However, the current proposal does not reflect a bank guarantee and a firm indication of the ability of Rock City Hotel to settle the transaction in full. Below is an analysis of the semi-annual payment that will be required of Rock City at different rates of interest. And they provide the analysis. It's $7.6 million. That is 106 million Ghana cedis. The transaction advisor continues. Assuming that SSNIT accepts a 2-year plan with semi-annual payments and an interest rate of 2.5%, the periodic payment that will be required of Rock City will be $7.8 million. That's 109.7 million Ghana cedis. Rock City's hotel's financials cannot support the transaction. The table below shows that Rock City's hotel projected annual revenue for 2024 cannot meet the half-year installment payment of 109.7 million. In addition, the company does not have cash reserves to support the installment payments. Can you believe that?
Looting.
Damn. This was just a work and pay arrangement.
Create, loot, and share.
Yeah.
Well, so
Create,
It continues.
loot,
It
and
says,
share.
Dr. Samensa right. He said, in short, the current proposal does not meet the requirement to demonstrate the financial capacity to close the transaction. Can you believe this? And you see, this is dated 24th May, addressed to the Board of Trustees of SSNIT. The Honorable Elizabeth Ohini wrote a month after in that her epistle coming out of the hotels, where she even sought to suggest that if angels looked into this transaction, she would come out squeaky clean.
Can you imagine?
When she had been given a copy of this, can you believe that? She received this a month before she wrote that article. That is why we insist that all of them must go.
Exactly.
I agree with lawyer Martin Pebu that they must all leave. That board must be dissolved. They've done this country a great disservice. This is the transaction advisor.
This was on the 24th of May.
24th of May. And she wrote her article on the 26th of June.
Well, Brian Champon says you don't have full knowledge of the processes.
No problem.
That this whole transaction went through. So
no problem. You see, he's been calling me names. He says I'm driven by hate. I have no knowledge on business transactions. I'm not a businessman. No problem. That's fine. I accept all of that. That's why I have come here this morning with the transaction advisors report. This is Dr. Samensa. Or he too, he doesn't. The transaction advisors, their knowledge is not up to Brad Champon's knowledge. They don't know business. So the money we have paid them. And you see, after all of this, we will start a causing financial loss discussion. Because if SSNIT had done the right thing, engaged stakeholders, particularly organized labor, they will have known that they have no business going into this transaction. Organized labor will have told them clearly, you cannot sell. If they had come to Parliament, we will have told them. So all these payments they have made will have been saved. You said that you are struggling. You need cash injection. And see how much? Over 7 million. And we have not talked about other expenditure items around this transaction. So look, back to all these claims by the Honorable Brian Champon. It's all red herring, fallacy of ad hominem, and total baseless attacks. Look, this is a transaction advisors report. And when you read this transaction advisors report and you compare it with the...
And the SSNIT board has a copy of this?
Yes, they have a copy. All of them, all board members.
I see.
Were given copies of this. Now, if you compare what the transaction advisor has discovered to what SSNIT advertised and SSNIT's own pre-qualification criteria, what it means is that Rock City Hotel, their proposal should not even have been entertained in the first place. They should have been disqualified.
Why this?
Because
what is in
if
that?
you look at the pre-qualification criteria, it's stated clearly here that the bidders must show sources and proof of funding. The transaction advisors are saying that Rock City doesn't have proof of funding. They don't have a bank guarantee. There was no bank enhancement to their proposal. There's another pre-qualification criteria that says that they should have a valid GRA tax clearance certificate. In my earlier expose, when I published their tax filings, a copy of which I have here, at the time they were putting in the bid, they hadn't filed their taxes, so they couldn't have had a valid tax, and it's one of the matters Shraj is investigating. They couldn't have had a valid tax clearance certificate because they filed their 2021 taxes in 2023. The records are here. They cannot run away from them.
But
so, and then 2022, they filed in 2024. So they couldn't have had a tax clearance certificate. They have no source or proof of funding. They should not even have qualified if this was not an insider dealing. So look, this matter, even though we have some victory now, we are going to continue with the Shraj investigations. We'll continue to cooperate with them. Yesterday, I also filed this RTI request to MPRA. If MPRA thinks that they can go into this collusion less than 2 weeks, this damning transaction advisors report, you say you are done with your review and you have given the green light.
I see.
I have filed this RTI request demanding one, I'll read through quickly. One, confirmation that the MPRA has indeed informed SSNIT to proceed with the sale of the 4 hotels to Rock City Hotel Limited, as disclosed by the Employment Minister. 2, a copy of MPRA's review of the transaction in issue, which was conducted under 2 weeks, and how you came to this conclusion. That is, if the assertion by the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations is accurate. 3, how the MPRA addressed the underlisted grave matters of concern as contained in the May 24, 2024 Transaction Advisors Report, signed by Dr. Sam Mensah of SEM Capital and delivered to the SSNIT board. And I've gone through the Transaction Advisors Report, so I don't need to repeat that. Then 4, how the MPRA determined that this transaction does not offend conflict of interest provisions contained in the 1992 Constitution.
I see.
And 5, how the MPRA satisfied itself that Rock City presented a valid tax clearance certificate under Ghana's Income Tax Act 2015, Act 896, and which, like a valid bank guarantee, was another pre-qualification criterion of SSNIT, considering that Rock City had failed to file its annual taxes in 2021 and 2022. I await your prompt compliance under the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989.
So you're also asking the same questions that indeed earlier I put out about the MPRA and their
Yes,
clearly
the MPRA is complicit. Clearly.
The minister put out.
But electoral question.
Unless the MPRA boldly tells us that what the minister told Parliament is not true. It's not accurate, that they didn't give SSNIT the green light to proceed.
I'll come to you, for example. But you make mention of Labadi Beach Hotel as a reason why you believe that something else could have been employed in terms of turning around the fortunes of these other hotels than selling them off. Because the other 3, you say, at least per the books, they are not doing well. The Labadi one had a management contract with Legacy International for a 10-year period. They employed strategists, turned around the financial fortunes of that hotel, and then trained locals who took over and is now making profit. Would you have supported the same approach for these other hotels instead of selling them off?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I have always said, that why not look at management? Bring in a different management structure. Look, did you see those memos I put out from La Palm? I mean, doesn't it strike you as odd that that same street, just a 2-minute walk apart, Labadi Beach Hotel, so profitable, and La Palm is not doing well? Meanwhile, La Palm has more rooms, has bigger facilities. That really is our conference headquarters in this country. If really La Palm should be run well, they have the biggest banquet facilities and conference facilities in our country. Did you see those memos where somebody acts, a deputy MD at La Palm, acts for 6 months and is demanding $18,000, $3,000, and he's actually paid that $18,000? Why wouldn't the place? And if you look at even how the selection was done, the political patronage that goes into this, this is our person, let her go and manage La Palm.
Yes.
This one is our person, let her go and manage. It's seen as spoils of war. We've won an election.
Yeah.
So those who are left, we couldn't get ministerial, ambassador, DC positions for them. Let's. If you run these hotels professionally, you do the right interview process. You give people clear KPIs, like we did for Labadi. And you see, the Labadi story is there for us. It tells you that it works. If you have the right management, these hotels will be profitable. In any case, in this discussion, are we even looking at goodwill and the prime locations of all of these hotels? The land, beachfront, the value of these assets. Yes, now in terms of their books, some are struggling, but their assets are going up. La Palm, at the center of the capital, beachfront. If you want to buy a plot today, beachfront today, you know how much it will be sold to you?
Obviously. Yeah.
I mean, I'm told the plot is going for about $1.2 million. Just one plot.
Number of them.
Is anybody considering that?
How can a lecturer buy that?
It shall be well.
Oh boy.